If you've ever stood in front of a mirror in full drag and thought, something just isn't right with these proportions, this video is exactly what you need. Today, we're breaking down everything you need to know about hip pads and butt pads for drag queens, how to choose the right shape, the right size, the right material, and how to layer them for a silhouette that looks flawless from every single angle, under any stage lighting. Whether you're brand new to drag or you've been performing for years and just want to level up your body shaping game, stick with me because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to look for and what to avoid.
Why body shaping matters in drag. Drag is the art of transformation, and nothing transforms a silhouette faster than the right padding. The human eye reads proportion before it reads anything else, before your makeup, before your wig, before your costume. If your hips and waist ratio isn't creating that iconic hourglass or that exaggerated fantasy shape you're going for, the whole look can fall flat, no matter how amazing everything else is. Hip pads and butt pads are not just about adding size. They're about creating balance, structure, and illusion. And when done right, they make you look like you were born in that body. Understanding the different types of padding. Let's start with the basics. There are three main categories of drag padding you need to understand. The first is hip pads. These sit on the sides of your body and add width to your hips. They create that dramatic hourglass shape by making your hips appear significantly wider than your natural waist. Hip pads come in different projection levels: subtle, medium, and dramatic. And the right level for you depends entirely on your natural frame and the look you're going for. The second is butt pads. These go in the back and add projection, lift, and roundness to your backside. A great butt pad doesn't just make your rear look bigger, it changes how your entire lower body reads when you walk, turn, and perform. Movement is everything on stage, and the right butt pad moves with you. The third is combination pads, also called hip and butt shapers, which cover all 3 points at once. These are great for beginners because they're easier to position and keep in place, and they create a more unified shape without visible seams between pieces. Choosing the right size for your frame. This is where most beginners go wrong. Bigger is not always better, and the right size is relative to your body, not to what you see in photos online. If you have a naturally narrow frame and small bone structure, a medium projection pad will look dramatically different on you than it does on someone with a wider natural frame. You want your padding to enhance your proportions, not overwhelm your body. A good rule of thumb is this: when you put on your hip pads, stand sideways and look at your profile. Your hip to waist ratio should look exaggerated but not cartoonish, unless cartoonish is your aesthetic, in which case, go all the way queen. For performers who are tall, you generally need more projection to create a visible shape from a distance. For shorter queens, moderate padding reads as full and dramatic on stage without looking disproportionate up close.
Materials matter more than you think. Not all padding is created equal, and the material makes a massive difference in how your look performs, literally. Foam pads are the most common, most affordable, and most beginner-friendly option. They're lightweight, easy to trim and customize, and they hold their shape well. The downside is that cheap foam can feel stiff and look lumpy under tight fabrics, especially under lighting that catches texture. Silicone pads are the premium option. They have a softer, more natural movement, they sit closer to the body, and they drape better under clingy or structured garments. If you're wearing a tight bodysuit, a form-fitting gown, or anything that leaves little room for bulk, silicone pads are worth the investment. Memory foam is a middle ground, softer than standard foam, better movement, and more affordable than silicone. This is often the sweet spot for queens who perform regularly and want durability without breaking the bank. How to position your pads correctly. Positioning is everything. A great pad placed incorrectly will ruin a look just as fast as a cheap one.
For hip pads, you want the widest point of the pad to sit at the widest point of your natural hip bone. If you place them too high, you'll look boxy. If you place them too low, you'll lose the waist illusion entirely. The sweet spot is right at or just below the hip bone. This is what creates that dramatic curve from waist to hip. For butt pads, the center of the pad should sit at the fullest point of where your natural rear curves. Too high and it looks like a shelf. Too low and it looks like a tail. You want it to flow naturally from your lower back into the shape of the pad. Always put on your padding before your shapewear or gaff, and before your costume. The order of layers matters. Padding goes on first, then your shaping garments go over them to hold everything in place and smooth out any edges.
Keeping it all in place during a performance. There is nothing more terrifying than feeling your hip shift mid-performance. So let's talk about how to secure your padding so it stays exactly where you put it. Shapewear is your best friend here. A high-waisted compression short or a full bodysuit worn over your pads creates a smooth surface and holds everything in place during even the most intense choreography. Look for shapewear with at least medium compression. Light compression won't hold structured pads securely. Matching your padding to your costume. Your padding choice should always be informed by what you're wearing over it. This is something a lot of queens don't think about until it's too late. For tight, structured garments like corsets, bodysuits, or fitted gowns, you want pads with a smooth profile and a gradual taper at the edges. Nothing with a sharp edge or a sudden thickness change, because that will show through the fabric. For full skirts, ball gowns, or heavily layered costumes, you have much more freedom. You can go bigger with your padding because the volume of the garment hides transitions and edges. This is often where new queens discover just how dramatic they can go. For sheer or mesh costumes, silicone or skin-colored foam pads are essential because if your padding is darker than your skin, it will be visible under the fabric, and that breaks the illusion completely. Building your personal padding wardrobe. Just like you wouldn't wear the same shoes with every costume, you shouldn't rely on just one set of pads for every performance. Ideally, over time, you want to build out a few different options. A medium projection hip and butt combination is your everyday workhorse, versatile enough for most looks and most stages. A high drama hip set is what you reach for when you want a big, exaggerated fantasy silhouette for competition, pageants, or headline shows. A subtle shaping set is what you use for seated performances, meet and greets, or looks where you want curves but not drama. Having these 3 levels gives you full control over your transformation for every single booking. Where to find quality drag padding. Now that you know exactly what to look for, you need to know where to actually shop. The quality of padding varies enormously between sellers, and buying cheap, poorly constructed pads will cost you more in the long run because you'll replace them constantly. Look for stores that specialize in stagewear and performance costuming rather than general party or costume stores. Specialty retailers understand how this padding needs to perform under real performance conditions, not just look good in a photo. They also tend to carry a proper range of sizes, projections, and materials so you can actually find what works for your specific body.
If you want to browse a curated collection of hip pads, butt pads, and full body shaping options built specifically for drag queens and stage performers, check the link in the description. We have everything from beginner-friendly foam sets to premium silicone options, all in one place. Final thoughts. Padding is one of the most personal parts of your drag. It took most queens years of trial and error to find what works for their body, their style, and their performance needs. And now you have all of that knowledge in one place, so you can skip the frustrating part and go straight to looking incredible. Remember, the goal isn't to look like anyone else. The goal is to look like the most powerful, most exaggerated, most fabulous version of the character you're creating. The right padding is the foundation that makes that possible. If this helped you, subscribe,
because we cover everything from wigs and makeup to shoes and stage costuming, everything you need to build a drag wardrobe that actually performs as hard as you do. See you in the next one.